because that's the best of times. Yanzurullahu salli ala Muhammad. Really loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Awesome. Right. So it's the 17th of Sha'ban. I'm not going to ask you what the date is today because it's difficult for me to hear you. So it's the 17th of Sha'ban, 1441. And oh my goodness, there's only 13 days or 12 days left to the month of Ramadan. We'll talk about that in a minute. So first of all, what are the times of Salah today? Can you look them up, please? On your phones, on the calendar. Go on, I'm waiting. Give you a moment. Okay, time for Fajr, 4:18. And I'm sure when it comes to Ramadan, you will tell me to the second, like I said before. Time for Zohar, 1:08. Okay, and time for Maghrib, can you tell me, please? Yep, 8:02. But I'm going to add two more times here. The time for Asr and the time for Isha. You're at home, so you must know these times. The time for Asr is 4:45 and the time for Isha is 9:25. So your homework until the month of Ramadan, if you can do it, is to find the times of Salah. Shall I tell you why? Because in the sermon of the Prophet talked about the month of Ramadan on the last day of Sha'ban. And in that sermon, he said, وَارْفَعُوا إِلَيْهِ أَيْدِيَكُمْ بِالدُّعَاء. Raise your hands in dua and raise them up, not like this. Raise them right up. He said, raise them up in dua. فِي أَوْقَاتِ صَلَوَاتِكُمْ. At the time of Salah. So, I mean, instead of 3, you've got 5 different times. And he says, فَإِنَّهَا أَفْضَلُ السَّاعَاتِ. Because that's the best of times. يَنْظُرُ اللَّهُ فِيهَا بِالرَّحْمَةِ إِلَىٰ عِبَادِهِ. Allah looks at those who are connected to Him with rahmah. So, I mean, instead of 3, if you've got 5, why not find the 5 times? So that's those 5 times. But before I go into anything else about Ramadan, I'd like to talk about this weekend. It's known as the Easter weekend. So we have a long weekend of holidays from Friday to Monday. And tomorrow is known as Easter Sunday. And then we have Good Friday. And then we have Easter Monday. And if you go to the shops now, maybe you won't find toilet rolls or rice or flour, but you'll definitely find Easter eggs everywhere. So let's talk a little bit about those eggs, why we have so many eggs, and see what happens. So let's look at the ancient Zoroastrians first. So the Zoroastrians used to paint eggs for Nowruz. This was their new year. And I think this year, Nowruz was on the 20th of March. But as far as the followers of Christianity goes, for them, the egg represents resurrection. That means you come back to life again. Now, they believed that Prophet Isa, or they believe already that Prophet Isa was crucified and then he came back to life. So that egg, you have the egg inside, or you have the chicken inside, and then suddenly it comes up to life. But there's also another tradition in their traditions which says that the Mary Magdalene, she was bringing cooked eggs to share with the other women at the place where they thought that buried Prophet Isa. And their traditions tell them that the eggs became red. And the egg also represents the stone that was outside the place where they had thought they had placed Prophet Isa. Now that's what they think. That is their traditions. So let's see what we think. What does Islam tell us about Easter? What does it say? So our version, and I'm going to talk about the Last Supper, and it's from Biharul Anwar. You can look it up. It's volume 13. It's a bit hard, but anyway, you can still look it up. So in Biharul Anwar, we have a story, and it tells us that Prophet Isa called all his disciples. Disciples are his companions. There were 12 of them. And he calls them all for supper or for iftar on the 21st of Ramadan. And he calls them all, and they all sit around this table. Can you imagine it? If you imagine this room and these 12 people sitting there waiting for Prophet Isa, and they're thinking, where is he? Suddenly, in the corner of the room, he appears. He's there. And they think, how did he come in? But they didn't ask. So he sat down with them, and then he said, I need to tell you something. He said, I want to ask you something. Is there anyone here who would like to be called me, who people will think you are me, but he will be killed because I will be raised up to heaven. And the person who does put up his hand, he will join me in Jannah. And without hesitation, there was a young disciple, and he put up his hand and he said, me, I want to be the one who's going to represent you. So he said, okay. And then he said, but there's one of you who's going to betray me. Do you know what betray means? It means when somebody trusts you a lot and then you break their trust. So one of them said, do you think that's me? And Prophet Isa said, well, if you think it's you, it's you. He didn't give any names. And then he went back into that corner and suddenly he was gone, just gone. So we're told that he was taken up to heaven and 9,313 angels take him up. Now the Bani Israel, they didn't like Prophet Isa because they thought he was taking their power away. They thought that their leaders were losing their power. So they were looking for him. And remember the person who had betrayed his trust? He told them where to find Prophet Isa. And suddenly, where they were sitting down, all these soldiers came in. And these soldiers came in and they looked at that young disciple and they thought it was Prophet Isa. So they took him away, but they also took away the person who had betrayed Prophet Isa. So both were taken away. And the young disciple was crucified. Crucified means he wasn't killed in a very nice way. He was pinned onto a cross. Now let's see what Quran says. So if you look at Surah An-Nisa, that's Surah number 4, ayah 157 and 158, Allah says, وَقَوْلِهِمْ إِنَّا قَتَلْنَا الْمَسِيحَ عِيسَى ibn Maryam. And they say that we killed Isa, son of Maryam. Rasulullah, he was the messenger of Allah. But Allah says, وَمَا قَتَلُوهُ, they did not kill him. وَمَا صَلُبُوهُ, they did not crucify him. وَلَكِنْ شُبَّهَ لَهُم, but he was somebody they thought looked like him. And Allah says that they differ in all these things. They don't have the knowledge, but they definitely didn't kill him. So that's our version of the story of Easter. And it's really important to know these stories. Should you buy an Easter egg? That's not a problem. And we got to remember resurrection too, because all of us will come back to life to account for what we did. But the Prophet said, whenever you see green, whenever you see spring, remember resurrection. And this is spring. Well, it's coming near summer too, but it's spring. When you see spring, remember that you will be resurrected too. It's phenomenal. Okay, so now we got to talk about the month of Ramadan. My goodness, 13 days, 12 days. That's not a lot at all. So you need a countdown calendar. So hopefully you'll take a piece of paper, write down the dates, 18th Shaban, 19th Shaban, right up to the end. Now I'm going to be with you every day until then at 11:30 in the morning. And we're going to talk about how we prepare for Ramadan, especially about the Quran. And then in Ramadan, I will see you every day between 4 and 5, inshallah. But right now, we're going to talk about what else we need to do to get ready. So the first thing we need to do is make sure we have a Quran. Now I have my Papa's Quran, that Quran. It's my Papa's Quran and I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. So that's the Quran I'm going to recite in Ramadan, but I'll recite another one too. This is the one that my mom gave me when I got married. And that's 44, oh my goodness, 45 years old. That's really old. So you have to have your Quran ready. Make sure you've got something that you can highlight the ayat with. Make sure you've got a pencil to write and underline stuff that you need to know. We'll talk about this throughout this time. You also need a dua book. I have my grandfather's dua book, that one. And you may have a small one. There is one that we do at Q Fatima, which is the duas for Ramadan, which is big writing. You can order it from there too. We also have a dua book like that, which says, let us learn of communicating with Allah, which has a translation and explanation and worksheets for Ya Aliyu, Ya Azim, and Allahumma Adkil. It's really, really good to have something like that with you. So that's your Quran, that's your duas. And then you need to make a list. Oh, wait a minute. Let's see what the Prophet said about Quran in his sermon. He said, وَمَنْ تَلَا فِيهِ آيَةٌ مِّنَ الْقُرْآنِ. Whoever does the tilawa, who recites and understands one ayah, one of the Quran in this month, كَانَ لَهُ مِثْلَ أَجْرِ مِنْ خَتَمَ الْقُرْآنِ فِي غَيْرِ مِنَ الشُّهُورِ. It is as though he has finished the whole Quran in other months. Can you imagine? One. That's it. So really, really important to get that right. The next thing is family. Make a list of your family. Make a list of your grandma, uncle, aunts, cousins, all of them, and write to them to say, may you have an awesome Ramadan. You could say Ramadan Kareem, make these cards for them because the Prophet really, really stressed on family. Let's see what he said. He said, وَمَنْ وَصَلَ فِيهِ رَحِمَهُ وَصَلَهُ اللَّهُ بِرَحْمَتِهِ يَوْمَ يَلْقَى. The one who gets together with his family, with his blood family as such, Allah on the day of Qiyamah will shower him with mercy. I mean, who doesn't want that? Just by sending a card to your relations, to all those cousins you've forgotten, those uncles, those aunts, all those people that you've forgotten, he's telling you you're going to get his rahmah, his mercy on the day of judgment. But he says, this is a bit sad. He says, وَمَنْ قَطَعَ رَحِمَهُ, the one who breaks off relationships. Oh my goodness. قَطَعَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُ رَحْمَتَهُ يَوْمَ يَلْقَى. Allah will cut off his mercy on the day of Qiyamah. So if you have somebody you're not very friendly with, a bit angry with in your family, please go and say Ramadan Kareem. Even if they don't reply back, you got to do that because that's what the Quran says. Right, next, tasbih. You must have a tasbih. I have this one. I love it. This is made out of amber, but you could have a kaki shafa tasbih, but you must have your own tasbih and you must keep it with you at all times. You could wear it around your wrist like I do. And make sure, especially in Ramadan, if you start now, it becomes a habit. In Ramadan, you can do so many tasbihs. Whether you say Allahu Akbar, Alhamdulillah, Subhanallah, Astaghfirullah, or maybe we're going to learn the Asma'ul Husna. So every day we might do one and you could do a whole tasbih and you won't forget. So say for example, one day, the first day we will do Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, and so on, Ya Malik, Ya Qudus, and we'll learn about that too. So you must have a tasbih with you as well. Then you got to make a timetable. You must have a timetable. Now, the Jamaat has a beautiful, KSIMC give you a beautiful timetable. You could write on there because too much screen time is not good. Too much writing on the computer is not good. Make sure you use something, paper and pen, and write down what you want to do on that day. Make sure you have a timetable. In that timetable, make sure you know what you want to eat, and it must be healthy food. Okay, once in a while, chips, but you know what? They're not good for you. So you could try and make a timetable for mom to say you want healthy food. The Prophet recommended so much, and we'll talk about that hopefully as the month comes near. But good healthy food in the month of Ramadan. A few days or a few cheat days, okay, fair enough. But Ramadan is to be able to make yourself healthy everywhere. Physically, emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. Really, really important. And finally, the last thing, you gotta make sure you have a charity box. You must make sure you give sadaqah in the month of Ramadan. Now, we've got these boxes that I've been talking about throughout these days, and we'll be posting them to absolutely every student of workshop. If you're not a student of workshop, it's okay. Send your addresses to Masuma Alu. Do you know Masuma Alu is? Oh my goodness, she's phenomenal. If you send your address to her or you call her and give her your address, she will post one of these out for you. And so you can collect your stuff in it. It actually comes in an envelope. I've shown it to you before. And it's really important that you do that. And the last thing that I need to be able to talk to you about the month of Ramadan, is to know that we are the guests of Allah. See, the Prophet said, he said it's a month. Let me read you right in the beginning, and we'll go over this sermon in a whole within the next few days. So he says, هو شهر دعيتم فيه إلى ضيافة الله. It is a month that calls you to be the guests of Allah. وجعلتم فيه من أهل كرامة الله. And he invites you to be one of those who is near him and who is honored. There is no important month than this. It's really, really important. So get a copy of the Sermon of the Prophet. It looks something like that. You can order it off Fatima, or you can download it and just print it out. Read through it. We will go through it all the time, but read through it and make sure you get this list done, because Ramadan it doesn't come again, and it's phenomenal. And lastly, write down at the end, Salatul Layl. Come on. We can all try to pray. If you can't wake up just before Fajr and you think just before Fajr you're going to have Sehri and it's going to be too late and you can't do it, before you go to sleep, do Salatul Witr. I've talked about it before. Just one rakat. Just try and see the difference it makes. I'm going to end with a story, and then we will talk about, or we will recite the dua that we always recite. So fasting is something that we should start in Shaban to get used to it for the month of Ramadan. So there was a lady, and the Prophet had told her how important it was to fast in the month of Ramadan. He had told everyone. So one day he was coming back from the mosque, and it was the time of Dhuhr, and he was passing by her house, and she was shouting at the lady who was working for her. I mean, really shouting. He could hear her from outside. So he went home and he sent her some lunch. She looked at the lunch. It was a month of Ramadan. She ran to his house and she said, Ya Rasulullah, you told us to fast. You said I can't eat or I can't drink from dawn to dusk, and then you're sending me lunch. He said, what is the point of not eating and not drinking when you are eating that person's heart? You're hurting her so much that she feels like her heart's been eaten away. So when you fast, got to think about this. We're going to fast with our whole body, absolutely everything. No shouting, no screaming, no cheating, no lying, nothing. That's what's called fasting. Otherwise, it's just keeping hungry and thirsty. So really important to think about that story, and inshallah we will keep on talking about it from tomorrow. Now we have a virus that is going around, and it is causing so much havoc, so much. We've got to try as much as possible with our dua and dua. You'll follow what the medical profession tells you. Absolutely everything they tell you. Don't go out. Stay inside. Wash your hands. Be careful when you go out. Cover your mouth and nose. All the rest of it. And I don't need to go into that. But we can do the duas. And this is a dua that we recite at every workshop assembly. And it's there for protection. So let's recite it together. All of us. You ready? لي خمسة أطفي بها حر الوباء الحاتمة المصطفى والمرتضى وأبناهما والفاطمة لي خمسة أطفي بها حر الوباء الحاتمة المصطفى والمرتضى وأبناهما والفاطمة. We'll now recite Surah Al-Fatiha with the intention that Allah gives the thawabs of this to all those who have died, especially those of your family. And we will recite this as shafa for those who are ill. Pray for them. When we all pray together, when there's collective prayer, Allah listens more. That's really important. And after that, we will do the ziyarah of Imam Hussein. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. And the last bit together, loudly. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. في أمان الله قريب. Inshallah, I will see you tomorrow at 11:30. Right now, normally at workshop, I tell you to go to your classes to recite Quran. Please recite even 5 lines, just 5 verses, but recite some Quran. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.